Yeah, I'm getting a lot of positive comments on it.
So we are live on YouTube, folks, so we will call the meeting to order. And welcome everybody to our planning board meeting of May 14th. We have two things on the agenda to deal with: is the preliminary subdivision approval for Waterview Heights and a mobile sales establishment application from Terra Arsenal, High on the Hog. So just for the record, I guess we should state that President and Council Chambers here with me are Brian Herlick and Director Aaron McDonald. And in the boardroom off to our side here, we have Linda Stevenson, and with Linda is the applicant, Corey Larice, and his representative, Greg Dawson. So we welcome them certainly to the meeting. And on the line here, we have, I'll just go in order here that I see them: Councillor Adams, Councillor McDougall, CAO Philpott, Councillor Barb Ramsey, Your Worship Basil Stewart just joined in. Welcome, Basil.
All right, good to be here.
And on the phone, I believe we have Councillor Justin Durant.
Hi.
Anybody else there that I didn't acknowledge? So just for Greg and Corey's information, the planning board consists of Councillor Adams, Councillor Ramsey, and His Worship, and myself as chair. So those are the voting members of planning board. We welcome all council's participation, questions, and inquiries. So with that, we will move into the application in front of us and the recommendation. The preliminary approval being sought is for Waterview Heights subdivision. The supporting explanation: purpose, subdivide a portion of PID number 1059641, creating 11 single-family dwelling lots. The planning board is required to make a recommendation to council on this application, and preliminary approval is required by council before the development can proceed. In the background, an application was received from 101539 PEI Inc., Corey Larice, to subdivide a portion of this. Getting a little bit of feedback, bro.
Does someone have it playing in the background?
Does someone have what in the background?
Have it playing. I think we're all right there now. We'll continue. A portion of this parcel into 11 lots intended for single-family dwellings. The proposed lots and the extension of Acadian Avenue and Bernard Avenue are indicated on a preliminary survey plan prepared by Locust Survey Limited, dated May 11, 2020. And the map is attached there, and you can see where the sort of circular drive would attach Acadian and Bernard Avenues. I drove up there last night and had a peek at it, so it's going to be a great addition. Report: as required under section 3.6 of the subdivision site development bylaw, council, planning board, and the development officer shall consider the following general criteria when reviewing development applications under this bylaw as applicable. A, conformity with this bylaw. Staff comment: the subdivision promotes smart growth, making effective use of the land, and applies to the principle of orderly and following. B, conformity with the official plan. Staff comment: this subdivision and land conform to the official plan, section 5.11, and the criteria E, F, G, and H identified in the Parks and Green Space Plan, section 8.4. The official plan, section 5.11, the stated objectives there is to promote all housing types in the city, and the policy following our council's policy statements of policy in that regard. Promote a sufficient diversity of housing types, residential densities, and 10-year options to meet varied segments of market demand. C, conformity with the zoning bylaw. Staff comment: the proposed lots within the subdivision meet the criteria for the low density zoning. D, the orderly and following nature of the development. Staff comment, this development promotes residential growth and is example of infilling vacant land. E, physical suitability of the site for the proposed development, including avoidance of natural hazards, undue water runoff, and environmental damage. Staff comment, the site is suitable for development. The development will have no impact regarding natural hazards or environmental damage, as these matters are not applicable with this development. Water runoff will be directed to city storm drainage system or designated site drainage system. F, compatibility of the proposed development with the present and future surrounding patterns of streets, lots, and services, including conformity with any city concept plans. Staff comment, this development promotes the pattern of streets in the area. The lot and servicing will be designed to meet city standards. G, adequacy of the applicant's proposal for traffic circulation, parking, pedestrian access, water supply, sewage disposal, and storm drainage, including the adequacy of city streets and services to handle increased loads. Staff comment, there will be minimum change to traffic flow on Acadian Avenue and Bernard Avenue, as the new development is only 11 additional lots. The proposed residential street will be designed to meet 50-km/h local street with speed limits posted at 40 km/h. The proposed street would have an 8.8 meter width with concrete curves. The paved shoulder on the proposed street will allow for safe pedestrian traffic. The city's water supply and water main lines in the area are adequate for the new subdivision. The developer owner will be required to install new storm drainage mains, water and sewer mains, and new service laterals will need to be installed to the property lines. All infrastructure will be designed and installed to meet city standards at the developer's cost. H, suitability and parkland provisions. Staff comment. Parkland dedication is required for this development as a residential major subdivision. At council's discretion, the parkland shall be 5% of land or $1,750 per acre cash in lieu for low density residential land use. The area of development is 13,509 square meters, 3.34 acres. The land dedication would be 675.45 square meters. The cash in lieu value would be in the amount of $5,845. Staff recommend the city accept the cash in lieu as there is adequate parkland green space in the area. The parkland contribution shall be put in a fund reserved solely for acquiring or expanding public parks within the city. I, impacts on city finances and budgets. Staff comment, not applicable. J, proof of conformity with any applicable provincial legislation and regulations. Staff had no comment in that regard. K, other matters as considered relevant. Staff comment, the proposed street will be named as per the continuation of existing streets. So the recommendation, technical service staff recommend the application from 101539 PEI Inc., Corey LaRice, for preliminary subdivision to subdivide a portion of PID number 1059641 into 11 lots intended for single family dwellings, be recommended to be approved by council subject to the following. 1, the developer shall satisfy all municipal servicing requirements. 2, the developer satisfy the parkland dedication requirements. And 3, the developer enters into a subdivision construction agreement. As per section 8.5 of the subdivision site development bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward for council for a final decision.
Right.
So the planning board recommendation, this application bears the recommendation of the planning board, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder, and then we'll open the floor to comment. Moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. So we will now open the floor for questions or comments, and I would welcome Councillor Greg Campbell as well. Any,
Wonder where exactly is it, Brian? I'm sorry, I didn't look.
if you look on the map, if you have the document there, Councillor Campbell,
Yeah,
it's an extension really of Bernard Avenue and Acadia Avenue. There it is, up on the screen there now. If you can see it on your screen.
Yeah.
So the red line there on Acadian and Bernard is roughly where the road ends now, I believe. And I looked at it last night. So it's just carrying that road around and establishing those lots that are identified within the confines of those red lines.
I was just wondering whose ward it's in.
That'd be
Justin's.
in Justin's, and Justin's on the line there by telephone.
Yeah, it's just kind of between the French school and Gavin Estate, sort of in that area, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's attached to South Drive, does it, or leads out to South Drive?
No.
No, it's a section of Gavin Estate. The only exit would be McDougall and Greenwood.
So those lots are kind of like almost the backyard of the French.
Okay, yeah.
I see Councillor Ramsey had her hand up there. Councillor Ramsey, the floor is yours.
I do. Well, I don't have a whole lot to say, except that, you know, we welcome all builders, and I just want to give a shout out to Corey for this project. I think it's going to be lovely when it's done, and just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Councillor McDougall.
Thank you. No, I look forward to the development. That Acadian Avenue, I got my head turned here. Where?
And so do I.
I know, well, I know where the Bernard Avenue is. It's up behind the school. Oh, I know where it is. I'm sorry. Top of Century, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's a daycare up there, is there somewhere?
Yeah. No, I know where it is now. It was off of
I think
Century.
it's kind of like the last one up there, and you drive straight through.
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect. No, full steam ahead. Thanks.
Welcome, Deputy Mayor, as well, for the record.
Hi there.
Any other questions or comments?
Just, I guess I got one comment, Brian. It's Justin on the phone here.
That's Justin. The floor is yours.
Just again, like many of us like to do when we hear about these, it's just at this point, it's certainly welcome as far as I'm concerned. I certainly haven't heard any concerns from any of the residents there otherwise, and it's 11 single-family dwelling lots that'll certainly suit the area, and I think it's going to be a nice improvement, and it's good to see. And thank you very much, Corey, for starting things along here.
And 11 additional doors for you to knock on next election.
Yeah, that's right. Although Mayor Basil said that might not be necessary because he expects me to be acclaimed, so maybe I'll just stay home.
Yeah, just a comment there too, Mr. Chairman. It's a great development, and I commend the developers and the owners. It's going to be great for the city, and it's a nicely laid out subdivision. I can't see any problem at all with it. It's great news for the city.
Thank you, Your Worship. Any other comments? If not, I would just echo what others have said, and how much we appreciate developers having the confidence in investing in our city, and look forward to seeing construction up there. So thank you very, very much. So with that, if there's no other comments, we will call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. So we will move on.
That will move to the council meeting on the 15th.
Yes, that will go to council on the 19th, Tuesday night, the 19th, for final consideration by council. We have a we have a lot of planning board resolutions going to council that night, so that's great. Means things are happening, so it's good.
Great.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is High in the Hog mobile sale establishment application and recommendation. Supporting explanation, the purpose. The purpose of the application is to allow a mobile sales establishment, High in the Hog, Terra Arsenal, to operate at Heather Moist Drive from May to December, weather permitting. Ms. Arsenault's proposed hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Background, this is Ms. Arsenault's second year applying for a mobile sales establishment license. In 2019, she was located at the Was Food Center Limited and also attended a few other special events in the city. The location being proposed is owned by the Summerside Port Corporation. Well, you can see the map there. Doesn't necessarily define exactly where you're at. I think they're still trying to determine that with the Port Corporation, but perhaps Linda can speak to that afterwards. Mobile sales establishment means a business located in a motorized vehicle or movable structure that is towed or moved by a motorized vehicle and where all goods, wares, or foodstuff that are offered for sale are contained entirely within the motorized vehicle or movable structure, but does not include a lunch truck. Report under the section 13, City of Summerside Licensing Bylaw SS-05, the bylaw states the following. That'd be item number 13. Mobile sales establishment license. A, any person or company seeking a license to operate a mobile sales establishment in the city shall make application therefore to council. B, licenses may be granted for a mobile sales establishment to conduct business on a maximum of 2 locations in the city, and each application shall be accompanied by a letter of permission from the owners of the property on which the mobile sales establishment will be located. Council shall allow or refuse the application based upon consideration of safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other considerations as it deems appropriate. D, council may attach terms and conditions to the approval of the license if granted, including but not limited to 1, hours and days of operation, 2, health code requirements, 3, litter control, 4, approved locations. E, the license for a mobile sales establishment shall be valid for the calendar year in which the application is made only. New application is required to council for each calendar year. And F, no appeal shall lie from a decision of council respecting a mobile sales establishment license. Staff comment. Ms. Arsenault will provide written permission from Summerside Corp. Inc. for Heather Moist Drive location. Ms. Arsenault is permitted to set up at a second location should she wish to do so. If she does secure a second location, the location will be considered by council prior to that location being approved. So the recommendation, technical service staff recommend council approve the mobile sales establishment license to the applicant, Terra Arsenal, to operate High in the Hog at Heather Moist Drive, owned by the Summerside Port Corporation, Inc. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward to council for a final decision. So the planning board recommendation, this application bears the recommendation of the planning board and would seek a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Adams. So the floor is open for any questions we may have. Linda probably better equipped to answer than I. So Councillor Adams.
I just had one quick question. So they said they're still waiting on the Port Authority to say where it's going to be located?
Yeah, that's correct. The port are looking, I think that there's also Haas's Fish and Chips that are going to be on the port site as well. I think they're looking, that my understanding is there's discussions around housing them in the same area and trying to make services available, them water and electricity, that type of thing.
Right, that was my follow-up question. I was wondering if it was in the same area as the previous one we did. Okay, thanks, Linda.
Any other questions?
I do.
Councillor Ramsey. You're on mute. You're on mute,
Okay, here I go.
Councillor Ramsey.
Okay, because I think last year, like just to follow up on Carrie's question, last year where Haas's Fish and Chip was parked, there was another vehicle there. There was another establishment there last year. So is that establishment not going to be there this year, or have they just not applied for their license yet? Or Linda, maybe you could answer that.
We don't have an application for the other venue that was there last year.
Okay, and I guess that would have been my concern if there was something already set up there for both of those guys. So anyway, okay, thank you.
Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, just back to Councillor Adams's question. Did you say the two of them are going to try and share the same lot or the same power source, or?
My understanding in talking to this applicant was the port is looking to try to keep them in the same area. I don't think it's necessarily the same area as last year, but that they'll be set up in the general area and they will, somewhere where they can provide those services to them, electricity, water, that type of thing.
Right. So does this mean 4 buildings now or 4 trailers?
Oh. It's not replicating what was there last year.
No, so the two applications, the application before us tonight and Haas's are both located somewhere on port land, but we're not. The other eating establishments, one was Mama's Kitchen. They are located out at 225 Reed Drive at the Cool Breeze Farms, and the Big Guy Fries is located at Stretch Fitness up on Central Street.
I understand this one here will be over around in behind the Department of Fisheries building someplace.
We don't have a confirmed location yet. That's in discussions between the applicants and the port.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor, I see your hand up.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to double check on the washroom space facilities for both, but in particular this one. I believe you had mentioned one of the last meetings, the same for Haas's, that it would be at Spinnaker's. Do you know if any of their patrons will be allowed like to use Spinnaker's for washroom facilities? Because that was one comment that I heard last year from people about washroom facilities and water.
My understanding, the washroom requirement is not a city requirement. That's a requirement of the Department of Health. And
Okay.
has to be, so they have to have a washroom within a certain distance. I don't know exactly what those distances are, but that's something they have to secure with the landowner or another company.
Is that something that they would post near their mobile area if people are looking or whatnot?
I don't know what their obligation is. The obligation for the washroom is not for patrons. It's for the people working at the mobile sales establishments.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments, folks?
Question?
We'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Contrary? Motion carried. And that, folks, concludes our agenda for the evening. So we would welcome a motion for adjournment. Moved by your worship, Mayor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Adams. So we are, all those in favor say aye. Contrary, we are adjourned, folks. Thank you very, very much.